Hi, everyone. My name is Jesse Robbins, and welcome to LPLE from Dialogue FM. We're the podcast that lets you practice listening in English. We speak English slowly and clearly so that you can follow along and understand native English speakers more easily. I'm excited to help you improve your English listening skill, as well as help you learn new vocabulary, grammar, and idioms commonly heard in conversations among native English speakers. If you want to practice listening in English, then we invite you to join our conversation. Hi, Jane.
Hi, Jesse.
This past weekend, I had a very, very interesting experience that I'd like to share with you and with our audience.
Can't wait.
Yeah, it's called Startup Weekend. Okay, now, across the world, there are these special events called Startup Weekend. First, I want to explain to the audience the word startup. The word startup means a brand new company. So when we talk about a startup company, we mean that the company just established, was just created. Startup Weekend is an opportunity for people to create a startup company. These events invite software developers, designers, and business people together and encourages them to create their own company. So for example, one team could have a couple of developers and then a couple of designers and a couple of business people. So maybe 6 people total. Sometimes the people in the group know each other, and sometimes they don't. Nevertheless, each team is given 54 hours to take a software idea from idea to actual product.
In 54 hours?
Only 54 hours. During this time, the team is working together to create the business plan, create a prototype, and a prototype means a basic working model of something, software or hardware. Put the two together and then present it to the audience, and more importantly, to the judges. This is a competition.
Who are the judges? And I think I may know the answer to the next question, which is, what is the prize? Or what are the prizes?
Great question. Well, the judges are usually venture capitalists and other business professionals in that city. This year, for this event, there were 3 judges. One judge was the director of, I believe, business and economic development for the city of Seattle. Another judge was a venture capitalist. And the last judge was somebody who has created many companies and sold many companies of his own. There were 3 judges. Each team has 5 minutes to present their work. And then they receive another 3 minutes of Q&A, which means question and answers. The prizes are actually not what one might think. The prizes for Startup Weekend depends on the city. In this case, the prizes for this Startup Weekend were things like 1 month of free working space at a co-working space in Seattle, or one week of free graphic design work, or 1 week of free consultation from a business consulting firm. The prizes were free professional services.
So no one could hope to come away from this competition with a promise of big-time investment.
Exactly, yeah. In the past, I heard that some startup weekends would actually offer money, prize money. For example, the winning team could receive $20,000, something like that. I understand that the organization that oversees all of the Startup Weekend events is trying to get away from that and focus more on providing free services. I understand that. I think when there's money involved, the team dynamics change. The team...
Good point.
The energy changes.
I'm sure.
When there's money involved, especially $10,000, $20,000, the stress is higher. The teams are more anxious. And there's more frustration, right? Especially if you have a team where maybe 1 or 2 people aren't really contributing to the team or are not being productive members of the team.
In other words, what we call not pulling their weight.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. You having a couple of team members not pulling their weight.
I have another question. As I understand it, during Startup Week, you could be put with a team of people you never met before. Is that right?
Well, that's a good question. We pick our own teams. So we can choose which team we want to join. However, some teams, for example, some teams might have too many business people or too many developers. So if somebody who doesn't have a team approaches a leader and asks to join their team, the leader might say, no, we have too many people. Having too many people on a team can actually be pretty bad.
I can imagine. Yeah. The reason I asked that question was actually related to the kinds of prizes that you mentioned. You mentioned, for example, free graphic design for a month or something. That sounds great, but the company startups that you have put together are a test of your creativity, your clear thinking, your ability to work as a team. But how many of those companies and prototypes are actually for real? And is this prize of a month of free graphic design going to be useful? How many of those companies, those startups that were invented over the weekend are really going to go anywhere?
A good word is viable, right? How many companies are viable?
And how many of those teams really would want to stay together again after the weekend and continue the company? So do those prizes get used?
My understanding is yes, because as I understand it, every single one of the companies created over the weekend are viable companies. And sometimes the teams stay together, or most of the team stays together. Of course, maybe a few members decide, yeah, I don't want to stay. I have too much work I have to do. But as I understand it, there are many of the the teams that stay together and continue to develop their idea, develop their product. The people who come to the event with an idea pitch at the very beginning of the event, pitch their idea, present their idea to the audience. So it's at that time the rest of the audience has a chance to pick which team and which product they like and they want to join. What I'm saying is, everybody who brought an idea to this competition, Startup Weekend, really wants it to become real. So, after the 54 hours, all of this time, this energy, this effort to create this company is now very useful. So many people who own the idea want to continue to grow it. So that's why I think that the prizes can actually be pretty useful to some teams, not to everyone.
May I ask what your team did?
Certainly. Our team was called Conodoro. Conodoro is a combination of two productivity and time management tools. So, Conodoro is comes from Kanban, which is a manufacturing and development tool, and Pomodoro. And Pomodoro is a time management tool. So it's a little bit complicated to explain, especially without pictures and graphics. But basically, our team created a time and task management tool to help people do tasks that are typically too difficult for them to do, and more importantly, too complex for them to stay focused.
I see. That's pretty interesting. Yeah. Were you the one who came to the meeting with this idea? Or were you put in a group with someone else? How did that work?
I joined a team. I know the person who had this idea already. And he asked me, quite skillfully, I might add, he asked me to join the team before I heard any of the other pitches. That's a smart move on his part. Because maybe I would have joined another team if I heard the pitches first. Nevertheless, I'm happy I joined his team, not because of the product, Conadoro, but because I like his work style. That's really important. I like how he thinks about creating a company. So I wanted to learn from him about that process.
And was that your main reason, was to expand ways of thinking and ways of looking at problems, was to expand your view of those things? Is that your main reason for attending the weekend?
Absolutely. Thank you. That's a great question. Absolutely. The price to attend is not cheap. The ticket is $100 to attend. Different people join this event for different reasons. My reason was to learn, to have professional development, and to network, to meet different people. For other people, the purpose of this event is really to create their company.
Right. Okay, I can see it being useful from so many points of view.
Yeah. So for me, the purpose wasn't to win. Of course, I would love to win. That's great. However, even though our team did not win, I felt that the money I paid was well spent. I gained a lot of useful experience that I can use to create my own companies, to grow my own companies. The 54 hours for me was like taking a special tennis lesson where I'm learning skills and practicing skills at the same time. I like that. I like that speed. I like that energy.
The focus.
The focus.
Perfect focus. Yeah.
Exactly. So if I focus on winning and team dynamics, I think that I probably would not have had a positive experience. If I just focused on doing my work well and performing my tasks well and learning, then the entire experience becomes more positive for me. Yeah. It's really easy for people to be competitive, to want to win.
Sometimes that's a default reaction on people's part, and they haven't even thought about it. It's just the first thing that comes to their mind. They're in the habit of competing, and stepping back to ask whether that's what you really want is something some people forget to do, I think.
I agree. And I'm older now. I'm 35 years old. So my priorities are different. My desires, my needs are different. I'm more comfortable with accepting that I don't need to win all the time. I just need to focus on my own work. There were many teams with many young, bright, smart people. They were probably early 20s to mid 20s. So their focus was winning. Their focus was showing other people that they're smart or that their idea is amazing. And that's okay. I remember being like that, especially during my time in the MBA program.
I can imagine. That's very important.
Yeah, it's different now. I'm older and I don't need to win. I just want to learn. I want to have positive experiences. I want to meet good people. And most importantly, I wanted to come home and sleep.
I can imagine. That was going to be one of my other questions did you sleep at all during the weekend? And if so, where? On the floor or what?
Oh, at 10 o'clock, we had to leave the building. This event was at the Amazon campus, in one of the Amazon buildings. So we had to leave at 10 o'clock at night. Now, some teams went home together and continued working. Our team, at 10 o'clock, we just went home. The developers continued to do some work at home. For myself, I did maybe 1 extra hour of work, and then I went to sleep. So the reason why I was so tired is because from 9 o'clock until the end of the day, you're just working. You're going fast. Your brain is constantly moving and thinking. Yeah. So it feels like you've been doing calculus all day.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
But very exciting, too.
Absolutely. I'm very, very glad I did this. So, in closing, I want to encourage the audience to look for a startup weekend event in your city. I find out that there are startup weekends, similar events in Ho Chi Minh City in Vietnam, right? Yeah. In Phnom Penh, Cambodia, Korea, in Seoul, South Korea, of course, all over Europe. There's one in India. There's an event in India, Canada. Basically, all over the world, there is a startup weekend. If you in the audience are interested in learning about this event, I recommend that you search for Startup Weekend and type in your city, and you'll probably find an event.
Are the organizers a unified group? Do they just travel around? Or have these startup weekends shown up spontaneously, in a sense, run by different groups? Are they, or is it all one big organization?
It's one big organization called Techstars. And if you want to do a startup weekend and receive promotional support from Techstars, then you probably have to follow their rules.
I see.
Right? That's my understanding. But they're ran by local people. Yeah. So, again, it was very enjoyable, and I'm glad I did it. I probably won't do it again because I'm just busy. We're going to have a child soon, so I don't think I have the time to give 54 hours straight. But maybe in a few years, who knows?
It sounds as though with the experience you already have in your life, the business experience, it sounds as though this just rounded out your experience and sharpened some of your understanding. You might not need it again.
You're probably right. Then again, I can always learn more. But we'll see. Thank you for listening to this episode of LPLE. Let's practice listening in English from Dialogue FM. Subscribe to LPLE on iTunes to hear the latest episodes, or listen to past episodes on our website, dialogue.fm. That's dialog.fm. If you have questions or comments about English, or if you would like for us to use a word, grammar, or idiom in our conversation so you can learn how to use it correctly, we would love to hear from you on Twitter at dialogue.fm or Facebook at facebook.com/dialoguefm.